Hello and welcome to another Creative Co-winning video. Today we're going to be looking at a bit of editing. So I've got a bit of a screen record going here. This is my Adobe Premiere Pro. Now it's going to be a wee bit, maybe some of it's going to be a bit laggy. I don't know if how the sound's going to go for the actual program, since recording the screen takes up a lot of the computer. So we're basically going to look at how to do a basic cut and edit of a interview. Now I filmed a little segment here which is on the timeline right now. It's basically me answering two questions about how I like plants. I couldn't figure out what to say. I was talking about, I did an interview recently about plants and plant care, so I answered two questions and we're going to show you how to edit them into each other and do the cuts so that you can use cutaways to make it a clean edit between the two answers to make the story continue and make it look and sound good, as well as how to cut out maybe a few M's and buts and mistakes in my answers using cutaways to hide them. So what you're wanting to do first is you're going to want to take your clips, and if you've done your interview and you've recorded your audio and both are done separately, you want to sync your clap. So when I clapped, you want to take this small wavelength that you see where the clap is, the spike in the wavelength and the sound of the camera and the audio device. You want to take them and you want to sync them above each other, listen to it back, and if you can hear it and you hear the clap, both of them in sync at the same time, you might have to play with this a wee bit to get it right. But once they're in the syncing at the same time and they play at the same go, that will be all your audio in sync, and you should be able to continue from there. Now you're going to want to remember to do a syncing clap every single time that you record. But once you've synced up your claps, and you've done this for all your clips, I've only got the one right now for the demonstration. Once you've done that, you can start editing your clips. So what you want to look at next is you've got your syncing clap. You now want to isolate your two answers. So I'm going to quickly cut my answers about my plant. So find the part in your timeline where your questions start. You might want to keep your questions in depending how much footage, and just to keep yourself in line when editing. But for this example, I'm going to cut right up to where I start answering the question for each one. So I'm going to cut here and get my first answer out, and then cut my second answer out. So I'll be back in a minute once this has been done. Now that I have cut both my answers, you now see that I've got two answers lined up next to each other. What I'm going to want to do is I'm going to bring in a cutaway. Now when you've edited your answers and they're set to go, you want to put your cutaway over the top of them. Now when I'm bringing in a cutaway, it always depends on the length of the answer. Obviously these are two very short answers, but if someone has a long answer that they're explaining something and it's really taking time, maybe 30, well even like 40 seconds to a minute, you want a couple cutaways, because you can start the answer on the person speaking, do a cutaway to something else, maybe take away a few M's and buts, which I'll show you later on, and then come back to their face of them talking, and then cut away again before their next questions answered. So in this example, I'm going to put my cutaway right on the end where the next answer starts. Now that brings in the question that you're going to have to cut the second and first answer just where the cut comes in, and find the best way to sync the answers together. So in this case, it'll be where I say that I think people overwater the plants, yada yada yada, and that's the main issue with new plant owners. But I think, and then it goes into the next answer. Overwatering. Overwatering is the main cause of plant death by new plant owners. I think the benefits of owning plants are that you get an uplift of, you know, bringing the outside in, and you feel, you know, you feel better caring for something and calm, and you always got to do it. You got to take care of the plant, then take care of yourself, and you get that time to think, and it's really a slow way of bringing yourself into the day, and it really sort of positively affects your health, your mental well-being. So it says that's the most common problem with new plant owners. Little gap, but I think, and if you've recorded, like I suggested before, this is where it becomes important to record room audio, because you'll notice that I just get away with the fact that I say but I think, and it's the same-ish audio. It sounds like a car's going past in the background. But what you always want to remember is whatever room you're in, you want to take a piece of room audio. That's 30, maybe 40 seconds of just the sounds of the room, so that whatever's happening in the room, whatever sound, you can put that underneath your audio when you're doing these cuts to make it sound smooth and sound like there's no gap and it's all together. Now you'll notice that when I put these together and I finally sync up the but I think, it smoothly goes through, and as it cuts to my next answer, I cut on to my cutaway of the plant. Cause plant death by new plant owners. I think the benefits of owning plants are that you get, so that while I'm speaking there's a cutaway going and you don't see the jump between the two pieces of footage. By new plant owners. I think the benefits of owning plants are, which is important because you don't want to see that. You don't want to see what it looks like when I jump between the two. Now, another thing that I do with cutaways now and again is if somebody's saying M's and doing a lot of M's and buts and maybe made a mistake in their answer but continued on, and you haven't called them out and said, could you do that answer again? And this is your best take. I would sometimes, if I can get away with it and it sounds good, cut the M's and buts or the mistake out, which I'm doing here, so that when you think about your edit, if you have a cutaway going at that time, you're basically working with audio at that point. If you're on a cutaway and you're continuing on cutaway past your mistakes, think of it like a radio piece, like a song or something. You can cut the mistakes out, you can just get rid of them and you can smooth over that piece. So I'm going to take out a few M's and mistakes here and make this whole answer more concise and a bit better, just not changing the answer at all, but just cutting it down a bit shorter so that it's a bit smoother within the piece. Plant death by new plant owners. I think the benefits of owning plants are that you get death by new plant owners. I think the benefits of owning plants are that you get. Now, once I've done this, and you can obviously, this is not a lot of content, you're left with a great answer that your cutaway goes in for maybe maybe even 5-10 seconds, and then cuts away again back to me talking, and it's as if there was nothing that ever happened. It's just meant to go like that. That's how the story was told, and it seemed very natural and very smooth. So I hope you guys take away something from this and you have learned a little bit about how to cut an interview. Obviously, when you're cutting an interview like this, it can be a lot longer. It'll be a lot longer than this one. But this is a way to take away all your M's and buts like people do when they're speaking, like that. And it's a way to make it seem smoother, more natural, and gives your interview a bit more flow. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.